Hi everybody. I want to spend just a couple minutes clarifying our annotating articles assignment that we need to do within MindEdge today. Annotating is a really good tool that we should use for all of our artifacts and articles, not just for this class, but anytime we're doing research, because it allows us to participate in what we call active reading. It keeps us engaged with the content when we actually kind of write on the article or artifact that we're looking at. It allows us to ask questions and highlight things and circle really cool information that we might want to include, or even point out some of the information that we're not sure and make a note in the side and the margin that maybe we want to look into it a little bit more. It allows us to start thinking about the articles and how they're going to support our research. So if you have any questions on how to annotate something, please don't hesitate to contact me. I did put a presentation in this week's announcements that kind of breaks down how and why we should annotate, so definitely check that out. But if you have questions, let me know. Let's take a look in MindEdge on what our actual assignment is. Again, we're looking at the annotating our sources, and this is one of our graded assignments. Before you do this assignment, I do encourage you to put your articles through what we call the CRAP test. And I know it sounds kind of silly, but it is a good way to make sure that the information we're looking at is credible and relevant to what we're doing. So if you haven't done that yet, I encourage you to do so. And if you have any questions on how to do the CRAP test, or otherwise tell if what you're looking at is credible, definitely hit me up or check out the general questions forum. And I did include a video in our week's module announcements as well to kind of help clarify that. Okay, when we are annotating our articles, we want to keep in mind that we are going to be creating a bibliography. The bibliography is going to have some specific bits of information in it, and we'll talk about that as we go. As a couple of reminders for the sources that we're using, we're going to use 3 different sources. We can find one from the internet, but remember that it needs to be from a credible source. It can't be from Wikipedia, it can't be from just Joe Schmo's website. We want to really run the CRAP test to make sure that it is a credible source. Because when we use sources that aren't credible, we are undermining our own credibility. If we base our information, our argument off of bad sources, we're making a bad argument, and we're not really going to be able to persuade our audience to believe us. So if you do use one source on the internet, make sure it is credible. And if you're not sure, always feel free to ask me, and I'll be happy to help you determine if it is credible. But we want to find at least 2 sources from our opposing viewpoints database. Now that's the one that we really encourage you to use, but you can also use the Academic Search Complete database as well. At least one of your 3 sources needs to be present in your counter argument, where you're kind of making and acknowledging what the other side is saying. So 2 sources support your argument, 1 source needs to support or reference your counter argument. Alright, in constructing our annotations, I do encourage you, though of course it's not required, to actually print out your articles and make notes on them. Actually annotate on that page with a good old pen and pencil and a highlighter. That really allows us to engage. And of course, if you have software that allows you to do that, that's another good way to do it too. Whatever form of annotation, note-taking works for you, definitely do that. But for me, printing it out is really what works best. So let's take a look at what this assignment is. If we click on source 1, we want to select a source from opposing viewpoints database. Apply the CRAP test. Make sure it's something credible and something relevant. Remember, we want credible sources that score at least a 35 on that CRAP test. The first thing that you want to do in step 3, where in the first part that we're actually typing, is going to be you're going to identify what your source is. Give us a title, give us the author, tell us what that source is. Remember, we're going to kind of be building our citations as we go here. In step 4, you can just copy and paste this little sentence here. We want to say, it seems the source is arguing what? What is this source arguing? Tell me. And then we want to say, this source is using this specific evidence to support that argument. And then tell us what that evidence is. What specific piece of evidence in that article is using to support their argument. This could be charts, this could be statistics, it could be really good quotations. But what evidence is that article using to support the argument that you stated? And that's what we're going to do in step 4. And remember, whenever you fill in any of these blanks, you want to hit submit to make sure that it's saved to your notebook. In step 5, we want to answer this question, or fill in this blank. Personally, I believe the source is doing a good job or a bad job of supporting its arguments, and then tell us why. Remember, we really want to strive for paragraphs here. Of course, all of these steps are not going to be able to have a full paragraph, but maybe here you can give us at least a sentence or 2 saying why you believe that it's doing a good job or a bad job. Step 6, fill in the blanks below to generate the relevance portion of your bibliography entry. So again, fill in the blank. My problem is what? What is the problem that you're exploring? What is the problem that you're going to try and persuade your audience to listen to? Your intended argument about that problem is what? So you say, my problem is this. With my example, my problem is that there's too much text lingo going on in academic papers. And then you say what your intended argument is. For me, my argument is going to be, we need to stop allowing students to use text lingo in academic papers. And then we want to say why we think this source is going to be very helpful in supporting your argument. I think the source would be very helpful in supporting my argument because the author uses data to show the failing rates of papers that use text lingo, or whatever your evidence is. I think that this source will support my other source because. So why do your two sources work together to support your argument? And again, remember, we want to submit. And that's essentially what your annotations will translate to on the page. And we do need to do this for 3 separate sources. So we need to go through this process 3 separate times, one for each source that we use. Okay, and then this is a dual, there's my fan, this is a dual submission assignment. So you do need to do your work in here, hit submit each time, and then download that Word document and upload it into Blackboard. Now remember, when we do our dual submissions, we want to make sure that we open up that Word document and format it as closely as we can to a proper essay. Of course, with our annotations, it's not going to have those clear paragraphs necessarily. I encourage you to try to have those, but the way we answer these questions, it's okay if we don't have the full paragraphs, but clearly indicate your source and then clearly have your fill in the blank answers for each one. Don't just download that into a Word document and then submit that. Make sure we're adding our name. We're trying to write an MLA with these assignments. And of course, if you have any questions at all, let me know. And again, with all of our dual submissions, make sure you submit it both in MindEdge and also in Blackboard. And again, I encourage you to take a look at that rubric and use that rubric to work with your MindEdge assignments. If you have any questions at all, let me know and I'll be happy to clarify.